Hey folks, welcome to Unqualified, the fantasy football podcast that's been fucking up their season at the very last minute since 2017. I'm your producer, Rob Diesendorf, here with Sean Brady and Scott Johnson, two fantasy football rivals that have been sabotaging each other for years, but they decided to come together to help you win your league and make your friends look like idiots. How's it going, fellas?
Oh, poor Rob. I don't know if you noticed, Rob. We kind of took off the training wheels this year. Towards the middle and latter part of the season, we stopped telling you to set your lineup. We stopped giving you all the advice we could give you. And we honestly were very impressed at first. We were like, wow, he's doing it. I was like, initially, he's right behind me in the playoff race. I don't even care because it's entertaining. And then it all just slipped away last week.
Crumbled like some blue cheese.
You know what did me in? It was Thanksgiving. Too many distractions. I didn't have my mind on football, and I let everything slip right through the cracks.
Honestly, next time get your priorities straight because they're a little whack right now.
Yeah. I don't have an excuse.
You don't? No.
All you had to do was take Kareem Hunt out of your lineup. Kareem Hunt, who, by the way, was a phenomenal draft pick for you this year. All you had to do was just slide him out of your lineup, plug in somebody else, and I don't even know if you would have won those games, but not setting the lineup in Week 12 when you're in the playoff race, oh, God, it hurts. The Rob buy is back, everyone.
Rob. Well, Rob, how well did Kareem Hunt do last week?
I don't even know.
He was on a bye, so.
Oh. Well, you know what? I feel like I could have put anyone in my lineup and it could have gone any way because I had people that scored like
how it works.
30 points in a night and then the next week they scored 0. So I don't know.
Well,
how am I supposed to rectify that? I don't know.
What are you gonna do, man? Fantasy football, am I right? So
yeah,
you went
throwing my money in the toilet.
So record wise, you went 0-2, so 10-14 on the season. Honestly, still pretty good season so far. So 5-7. Are you 5-7 in both teams?
I don't know.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for giving me Rob's record. So 10-14. Unfortunately, the Rob buy is back. But Sean, I think it's safe to say you're pretty much scalding hot, except for one loss in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah,
what happened this week, eh?
Oh,
Jesus Christ! It's Jason Bourne, Scott in the Brady Bros League snuck up on me and got me with those 3 RB1s. Where did that come from?
Yeah, literally, Jesus Christ is Jason Bourne is my team name too. You weren't just saying that, but you also mean it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a double whammy there. So yeah. Nick Chubb and Leonard Fournette, and who's your other guy? Who's your third one?
Melvin Gordon.
And Melvin. 2 of those guys won't even be playing this week because they used all their energy, to get in a fight and then get hurt respectively. But
I have Eckler. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
I did a good job handcuffing season.
Scott trying to play spoiler in that league. It's a little annoying.
Well, honestly, fuck everyone in that league. No offense, because I lost by 2 points like 4 times, and I should be 7-5. That's all I'm going to say. I lost to Rob. I lost to another person by 2 points. I lost to another person by 3, and another person by 2. I think I actually whatever. I'm not going to get into what could have been, but 4-8. It's my worst team. But it also isn't my worst team, if that makes sense. It's a really good team.
Yeah, and it nipped me this week. So I went 2-1 on the week. I'm now sitting at 26-10 on the year.
Solid.
I think I'm safe in the playoff race in all 3. One of them, I'm 12-0 in OG. I'm not talking about it. I'm just leaving it at that. And then 7-5 in the other 2, which I think should be good enough to get in the playoffs. And honestly, those of you out there in the same boat, that's all that matters is just getting in. Because all you got to do is get hot once you're in.
You mean the 12-0 OG team that I'm playing this week against?
Oh, are you going to try to spoil this one too? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of need a win to get off of your bracket side because I think I'm 4th seed right now, I'm 4th seed right now and you're 1st seed, so you have a bye, and then if I do win week 1, knock on wood, then I would be playing you in the second round. So
you don't want any part of that.
No, I do want to win this week, so I'm on 3rd seed, and then I stay away from you until potentially, knock on wood, the finals. So we'll see. And then mine, I went 5-2. I think for the second week in a row.
Yeah,
I can't seem to get a clean sweep, and it's just not going to happen this year, I guess. But 51-33 overall, which is
poor Scott. He can't get a clean sweep.
It's okay. All right.
What a big baby.
Did you have your fun? Good. And we went 6-1, both of us, Sean. In Pick'em.
Let's go. We're finally breaking even.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out the tie. We tie, we pushed or whatever, but we did pretty well. And I think I'm 39-29 overall in the last 4 weeks, so I'll take it. Not great, not bad. I had a really bad week. I was 3-9 2 weeks ago or something. But what are you gonna do?
Let's get into some overall thoughts on the year. And first off, I just want to point out, thank God the bye season is over because it was a rough one this year. It seemed like it lasted all year. It started in week 4. It felt like it started in week 2, honestly, and it's now just ending. This last week was rough, obviously. It screwed Rob over. All the people that have been riding the Chiefs and Rams all year might have messed with you as well. But it's over. We made it, and it's time to start looking at playoff season, Scott.
Exactly, yeah. So don't overthink anything this week. That's the biggest thing I've learned. I have one team where I have a couple of tweener running backs. So I have I have Todd Gurley, but then I have Tariq Cohen, Philip Lindsay, and Josh Adams on Philly. And I spent a lot of the day today. I did work, but I spent a lot of the day today thinking about who I was going to play. And I finally had an epiphany. I was like, just don't overthink it. Play the studs. I'm playing Cohen, playing Lindsay. Josh Adams is on my bench because there's a chance he doesn't do well against Washington, and he's only had 1 week to prove it. So don't overthink it. Play the upside guys. And there's a ton of good running back options at this stage of the season that I don't remember this happening in the past few years. So guys like Gus Edwards on the Ravens, Josh Adams on the Eagles, Austin Eckler / Justin Jackson, who will probably play 65%, 35% split on the Chargers. Naheem Hines, because Marlon Mack might be out this week with a concussion. So all these guys are immediate play-ins, or pickups and plug-and plays, and could get you over the hump for to get into the playoffs. Maybe even you, Rob. I don't know.
I hope. I pray.
And one last thing, I'm officially done with tight ends for fantasy purposes.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say this too. Eric Ebron. I said this last week, and it's pretty unfair of me to say because he really helped me the first half of the season. That guy can go die in a hole because I don't know. He didn't play last week. He was on the field for 10 snaps, so 1 target, didn't catch the ball. And I was like, all right, I guess that's over with. So I dropped him for Evan Ingram, who now this week didn't play. And it's and Ebron, of course, catches 2 touchdowns. He's got 12 on the season. So I guess it's shame on me for not just sticking it out with my guy. So yeah, I'm pretty much with you. Done with tight ends. O.J. Howard going down is killing me. I mean, Cameron Brate is fine, but he's not going to win me a title.
He's a tight end 2. He's not even a top 10 guy, Cameron Brate.
Yeah, and just to add, I just want to go back to one thing you said. We don't normally have this array of running backs popping up right before the playoffs. The only one I could really remember from last year is Deion Lewis, and we already knew about him. He probably was already on a roster, and that was one guy. There's at least 5 or 6 that could be immediate factors for you going into the playoff season. So definitely nice to have that if you didn't nail the running backs portion of your draft or you've been struggling there all year. There's still options out there, which thank God for you because it's really hard to win without a good running back too and a good flex running back. So
agreed.
Anyway, without further ado, this is where we separate the men from the boys. And this is playoff season. Right away, it
Fuck you for that.
In your plums. I'm talking about fantasy players, the actual NFL players. In your plums who you trust. So for me, Allen Robinson is my wide receiver 2 in one of my leagues, for example, and I literally have zero trust in Allen Robinson, and so I would consider him one of the boys here. I want guys like Mike Evans, guys I don't know. I'm trying to think of another guy in that tier that we could trust a little bit more,
Stephon Diggs,
Adam Thielen, the guys that you plug in every week and you're like, that's my guy. And Allen Robinson,
even Cooper,
yeah, even Amari Cooper's come on crazy of late. Those are the guys that next year, just remember how you felt about them going into the playoffs. I will never forget not trusting Allen Robinson. I doubt I'll own him again.
Yeah, it's been a rough season. He's had a terrible 2 weeks, and which would be kind of called after that big outburst. But he also has a tough matchup this week against Janoris Jenkins on the Giants. So 3 matchups in a row. It's tough. T.Y. Hilton has a tough matchup against Jacksonville. You're not starting him, but you want to play upside, so you're not staring down the bottom of the barrel with a Doug Baldwin, expecting him to get 3 more catches than you thought he should have, and meanwhile he has 3 catches in the game. It just doesn't. Yeah, it's not a recipe for success.
Exactly, and just make a little note of that in your notes for next year.
Right.
Each guy that you're not feeling good about, that's the guy you want to avoid next year. It's just that simple.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, if you're playing for a playoff spot, drop them. Just drop the guys. If you just had Mahomes on a bye and you picked up a quarterback, drop that quarterback in. I had Lamar Jackson in one league. I might hold on to him just because there's no one else in waivers. But if you have upside guys like Gus Edwards, Josh Adams, Austin Eckler, Nyheim Hines, a tight end like Cameron Brate, or even Jonnu Smith, who had a really good play on Monday night, pick those guys up because they could potentially be plug-and plays instead of your backup quarterback that now that you have Mahomes back is useless.
Okay, let's kick off Week 13 preview with the primetime games. Thursday night, we have a really fun one. And a couple weeks ago, this would not have looked as fun. We've had pretty good fortune as far as that's concerned this year. I feel like I've been saying that almost every week. Like, oh, this is now a fun game because this team's starting to pick it up. And the Cowboys are the quintessential coming on hot team heading into the playoff push for the NFL teams. Hopefully they're helping you on your own playoff push. This game's much better. Now the Cowboys are essentially the favorite in the NFC East. Since that Amari Cooper trade, Scott, they are looking really good on offense. I just picked up Dak last week because I had Goff and Mahomes on a bye. He killed it. I'm going to have to cut him loose back to waivers because I need the spot. But Dak, thank you very much, my friend. Really impressive the last couple weeks. Scott, what do you think of this game?
Yeah, the Cowboys are light years better. It's opening up their offense in ways that they haven't had since Dez, and Cooper is not to relate him to Dez. Dez was more of a physical receiver. Cooper just like glides down the field, and we're seeing what he was in Oakland his first couple of years and what he missed last year. So he's a great play this week. They're 32nd, the Saints, against the pass and against wide receivers. So it doesn't really get much better than Cooper. You have to consider it is Amari Cooper. He could have a game where he has 3 catches and 30 yards, and the other thing to consider is the Saints, the defense has been serviceable the past 3 weeks in terms of points and total yards. So they're kind of turning it around like they did last year at one point, a little later in the season, but they're getting hot at the right time. But Cooper's a great play. Dak is an amazing play as well if you need like a bye, or not a bye week plug-in, but like if you have a Matthew Stafford or someone that's underperforming. And then the Saints, I mean, you're playing all of them. Michael Thomas really disappointed last week against the Falcons, but should get back on track this week. And, to go back to the defenses, they're a great pickup. Even against the Cowboys, Bucks, and Panthers the next week, 3 weeks, they're still on a heater with at least double-digit points the last 3 weeks. My
biggest question to you, Scott, before we move on, and this is kind of the type of thing we're going to do with the big playoff weeks ahead in fantasy football. Tre'Quan Smith and Mark Ingram. Are you trusting either one of those? I know Tre'Quan Smith is hurt, so he's more of like a dart throw flex if you're like desperate. You probably aren't desperate if you're in the playoffs. But what about Mark Ingram? Can we trust him?
I'm not trusting him. The Dallas defense has been pretty stout against the running backs. I think they're top 7, and it's been pretty consistent. Like they've shut a couple of people down. The Eagles haven't had any running against them in the last couple of games that they played against them. So yeah, I'm staying away from Mark Ingram. You're still playing Kamara. Tre'Quan Smith is a tough play. He was a pretty late inactive last week. I know we said he was a good play on Thursday, but they rolled him out, I think, after we recorded. But yeah, he's a tough play too. The Dallas defense is actually not bad, but the Saints are unstoppable. But I think Mark Ingram was the guy that doesn't do the best this week.
Awesome. All right, so the Saints are favored at Dallas by 7. It's a tough line. I'm still taking the Saints. What about you, Scott?
I'm actually going to take the Cowboys. I think it's just a gut feeling. The Saints are insanely good this year, and they're 9-1. But not a lot. They're 10-1 now.
Yeah,
are they 10-1? Yeah, not a lot of teams go 15-1. Yes, it's been done before, but this feels like a game. Cowboys at home on a heater. Amari Cooper could thrash them. They could get down pretty early and abandon the run game, which is really what the Saints offense should thrive through.
Okay, so we split the first one. This could be an interesting week for us here. Let's look at Sunday Night Football. We have the Chargers at the Steelers. I think this game was flexed to Sunday night because it's a really fun one as well. Look, I've been personally comparing these teams all year. I'm like, the Chargers are like in that Steelers category, which is just below the Chiefs and Patriots standing. I don't even know where they are at this point, honestly. The Patriots are not nearly as scary as they have been. Yeah, they're still the Patriots, but I could honestly see the Steelers getting the 2 seed. I could see the Chargers jumping. They can't because of the Chiefs. I just realized. But I could see the Chargers going into either of these places, Pittsburgh or New England, and getting a win in the playoffs. So anyway, this is a nice little preview of a possible playoff matchup in the AFC. Phillip Rivers set a record for completions last game, and the Steelers.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
Steelers almost lost to Jacksonville 2 weeks ago. They lost to the Broncos last week, and I don't know. I mean, this is kind of like what they do, but I don't know. This could be a really fun game. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, and I think the Steelers were due for a downgrade. I think we mentioned it last week that the Broncos could play spoiler again. I wasn't sure that was going to happen, but there was like an inkling that it might. Because the Broncos are kind of better than advertised and better than their record, but yeah, Steelers are due for a loss. I think this one is a win. They're at home. The Chargers are surging too. But here's one thing. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but don't count the Chargers out for winning that division. They're only one game behind.
True.
The Chiefs are 9-2. They were pretty lofty or easy schedule the rest of the way, but the Chargers are 8-3, one game behind. So if they get this win here, not saying they're going to overtake that division because head to head, I think Chiefs have it, but it could get interesting. But I do have the Steelers winning. They're insane at home. I think you're playing all of the Chargers still. Melvin Gordon has a grade 2 MCL sprain, and he's expected to miss multiple games. So Austin Eckler is immediately a top 15 and 20 play this week. The Steelers are pretty good in the front seven. That's the only reason why he's like 15 to 20. And then Justin Jackson is an immediate pickup and stash. He's not a play guy yet, but if Melvin Gordon is out for a couple of weeks and Eckler doesn't do as well this coming week, which he didn't do well in his first start in London a couple of weeks ago, I think it was against the Titans, then Justin Jackson could be a guy that gets you over the hump like a Gus Edwards on the Ravens.
Yeah, and unfortunately I have Melvin Gordon on that 12-0 OG team, and obviously couldn't get Eckler because he's been rostered all year. So I probably won't get Jackson either based on how people feel about him, but definitely a good time to pick him up because you don't know what that backfield is going to look like with Eckler as the quote-unquote lead back. So solid call there. We have the Steelers favored at home by 3.5. I'm taking the Steelers. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers at home. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance this week.
I can see Antonio Brown going bonkers in this game because he's been pretty quiet throughout most of the year, and it's about time for him to start turning it up. Just throwing
exactly, yeah. Even and the Chargers played the Cardinals last week. Of course, they were going to kick their ass 42-10.
Okay, we're looking at Monday Night Football. We have the Redskins at the Eagles, and oh man, this game a few weeks ago would have been better. And the Redskins are honestly depressing. The Eagles are kind of depressing as well. I don't even really want to think about this game. Fantasy-wise, there's not many guys you could trust in general, like including Carson Wentz, including Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, I don't think you trust any Redskins. Chris Thompson, by the way, you've killed me this year on one of my teams. I really could have used a healthy Chris Thompson this year, and mouth-watering talent when he's on the field. But I mean, that's
same thing last year too.
Yeah,
he was out for like most of the year. Again, he's small.
I think that is who he is at this point. He's in that almost in that Jordan Reed category where he's always going to be hurt, but when he plays, it's really fun. Keep that in mind. Scott, what do you think of this Redskins-Eagles NFC East matchup? Both these teams are really chasing the Cowboys, and I don't see either one catching them.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I don't think so either. People were saying the Giants had a chance too. I guess technically they do, but they're not going to win that division. I think the Cowboys are going to come out of it. And yeah, Alex Smith is a killer. I mean, I really realized that this week. I feel really bad for the guy. The guy, he might not come back to football. That sucks. And they have Colt McCoy who threw 3 picks on Thursday. Yeah, he has time to prepare, and the Eagles' secondary is brutal. But I think I think Reed is still a pretty good play here. He's questionable, so check his status. I think Josh Doxson is actually not a bad play as well. It's been a revolving door at the slot receiver level. So Jameson Crowder has been out for a lot of the year, and they've had 3 other guys in the slot. So Josh Doxson is the only guy that's actually been healthy. Paul Richardson is out too, and he's put together okay weeks, past 3 weeks or so. But I think actually Adrian Peterson is a really good play here. So Philly has led up. We always talked about Philly's defense, rush defense, being one of the best in the league, and it was in the beginning of the season. The last 2 games, they led up an average of 165 rush yards and 1.5 touchdowns. So it's been like 2-1 past 2 weeks. So AP is actually a pretty good play here. I think it's actually going to be more competitive with Carson Wentz kind of reeling. So, it's just tough. I don't know if you can bench Wentz, like if you can afford it with your team construction. If you do have a backup that's solid, like take him. But I could see you benching Wentz and Jeffrey and Tate until they do something. Josh Adams is a really good play. He's filling the Ajayi role earlier this season, and he's doing better than Ajayi did last year and this year. And he's the guy that they envision in this role. So plug them in.
Yeah, all those guys we just talked about, I would consider them mostly like borderline starters. They're not guys that you're locking into your lineup feeling great about. Maybe AP is like a running back 2 this week, but even then I would feel a lot more comfortable with him as my flex play. Same with Josh Adams, same with any of the wide receivers you mentioned. And Wentz, yeah, I mean, I definitely would take a look at somebody else if you have the opportunity. You may not, and honestly, there's worse things than just hoping he slings it all over the place.
Question for you. So we're going to get into the Ravens later, but if Lamar Jackson plays this week, are you playing him or are you playing Wentz? Like if you had a choice. It's a tough one.
I'm a gambling man, so I would say Lamar Jackson, just because I actually think it's not even much of a gamble because his floor is higher with his legs.
Yeah.
So that's probably what takes the cake for me. As I would start Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't feel like super great about it, but I would probably play him over Wentz this week.
Yeah, and Wentz is always good in primetime. He always steps it up. He's good under the spotlight. But Ravens and Lamar Jackson, if he starts playing against the Falcons, which Drew Brees just had 4 touchdowns, like it was nothing with backup receivers. So, yeah, I think that's where we're at with Wentz right now. He could go off, so we don't want you to get cute. That's not what we're saying. But if Lamar Jackson has strung together 2 solid games, he's playing one of the worst defenses, and he has the rushing ability, and Gus Edwards is helping him in the rushing game, it's not even getting cute at that point, you know?
So the Eagles favored at home by 6.5. With all that being said, I'm still going to take the Eagles here. I just think that as a roster, they're much better than the Redskins. Honestly, Alex Smith had kind of propped up the Redskins to their full potential this year, and he's gone. So it's just, it's no more. The Eagles are taking this one.
Completely agree. I think they'll win by a touchdown. I have the Eagles as well.
Okay, let's get into the quick hitters. And remember, these are 1 or 2 fantasy irrelevant teams. This one is literally the definition of red hot against ice cold. AFC South matchup, the Colts at Jacksonville. And, I mean, it's pretty simple for me. Andrew Luck is really goddamn good, and the Jags are just absolutely
really goddamn bad.
Just imploding this year. They just fired their offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who, by the way, his name makes him sound like he should be living in the woods writing a novel about hunting elk. So, best wishes, Nathaniel. I mean, it can't be. I kind of feel for the guy. He's had to coordinate Blake Bortles for the past however many years, and honestly got them to the AFC Championship game last year, so maybe he does have a coaching career ahead of him. I really hope he does, because with a name like that, Nathaniel Hackett, you could survive anything.
He's a football guy name.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, this one is pretty straightforward for me. The Colts, you're playing every player you can get your hands on. Despite the Jags being, on paper, a good defense, they're clearly not the same as last year. The biggest question there is who's going to start a running back for them. I think you want a piece of either one. They would be pretty solid flex plays if you ask me. And Eric Ebron, I mean, just go die somewhere because you're killing me. And I mean, maybe I'll pick you back up just to bench you, because I don't know what's going on with Eric Ebron.
I don't know what to make of him either, man. That's an enigma this season. But yeah, so Luck, I mean, he had a couple picks last week against the Dolphins, who, are pretty good. They're just like, Dolphins are they're middling against everything. So wasn't expecting multiple picks, but before that, he only had 1 pick in the last 5 games, I think, and they won all 5. So clearly there's some correlation there with the Colts. Luck doesn't run as much, doesn't get hurt, and doesn't throw as many interceptions. As silly as it sounds, they win more. And he, I think in the last 8 games, he's had at least 3 touchdowns in each game, which is the longest streak in NFL history. I have to check that again, but it's insane. This week is tough. Jaguars defense, Jalen Ramsey, their shutdown corners, they've gotten thrashed a little bit, but I just, what I don't understand is how this defense is so good against fantasy players and they still lose every game. They're literally number 1 against running backs. So I have no clue how. They in the last 3 weeks, against running backs, since their bye, they've let up 170 rushing yards total and 36 points total through 3 games. So that's an average of 12 points per game to the opposing backfield in general. So Marlon Mack is hurt, concussion, might not play this weekend. Nyheim Hines is an immediate pickup. I don't know if he's a great play, though. I think it's a really tough play. Like, here's the thing. Like, if you're trying to get cute with Nyheim Hines over Philip Lindsay, don't. Or Josh Adams, don't. Like, don't play Hines at that point. He's not going to necessarily go off for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, because Jags are number 1 against running backs. I don't get it. Jack Doyle was just placed on the IR, so Ebron's a good play. And Doyle really killed me this year. But yeah, Jags, like, Hyde's a pickup if you need him this week. Leonard Fournette will be back next week, so it's just a 1 week filler.
Yeah, don't go crazy cutting somebody that could potentially be usable in the playoffs to get TJ Yeldon or Carlos Hyde this week.
Absolutely.
Because you're not using them past this week. I mean, they're going to give Fournette the ball when he comes back. So, yeah. I mean, we see this game going one way, and I can't believe the line is only 3 points. The Colts are favored on the road by 3 points. It should be at least a touchdown here. Colts lock of the week for me. They're red hot, and it doesn't stop here.
Nope, I completely agree. The Jags are the definition of completely cold. You're right.
All right, let's look at the Bills at the Dolphins at Miami. And ladies and gentlemen, the cat is out of the bag. If you want to know how we decide which game goes into which category, what I do when I'm looking at these, and I'm sure Scott is the same, we look at wherever the AFC East is, minus the Patriots, and we put them in the quick hitters. And
oh, yeah, because they're boring, all of them.
Yeah, and this week we have two of them playing each other, and Bills at the Dolphins, it does not inspire any confidence at all. Again, Josh Allen is one of those guys where it's like, if you try to get cute with Josh Allen, like, for example, I'm not starting Josh Allen over Carson Wentz. Okay, maybe I'm starting Lamar Jackson. Right. That's really up to you and your preference for, like, how much you want to roll the dice, but you don't want to start Josh Allen over Carson Wentz. And maybe Josh Allen runs for 2 touchdowns and scores 28 points again this week. It's still not the risk I'm willing to take.
With small chance.
Exactly. So I don't think you're playing any Bills. And on the Dolphins, like, outside of Kenyon Drake, who, again, is like, if you're feeling lucky, start him. I don't see any other fantasy starters from this game. Maybe the defenses, honestly.
Could be the defenses. I have no idea. I've always been wrong on defense this year. I mean, I don't know. Defense is not it's not my strong suit this year at all because the offenses are so damn good. But yeah, the Dolphins, I wouldn't even get cute with Tannehill. Like, they're light years better with him than with the Brockett chip, but it's still the Bills and Dolphins. Like, who cares? Kenyon Drake hurt his left shoulder, so check on his status. He's infuriating to own because every single week I bench him, he goes off. I played him this week because I had no other choice because Kerryon Johnson was out, but now he's hurt. I don't know. Frank Gore, I don't know. I'm taking the Dolphins in this because they're favored by 6.5. I can see them winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll pick the Bills. Yeah. It's just like
I have no idea.
I'm not going to feel good about either one, so I'll go with the Bills and just hope for a little bit of an upset there. Let's just move on. I'm sick of talking.
This next one is even worse.
Yeah. The Jets at the Titans, and it's official, Scott. We should be tanking, and I think we kind of are, which is great.
Are we, though? I don't
know. I mean,
I guess we are.
If we are, somebody's better tell Jamal Adams because he played his ass off this week against the Patriots.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, I mean, we're not in the same class as the Patriots, and honestly, I don't even know if we're in the same class as the Titans. I think we are because I don't think the Titans are that good, but I don't know. This is another one of those games where I don't think you see a single fantasy starter. Maybe Deion Lewis in the flex, but I think there's better guys out there.
That's it. Yep, that's it. Just Deion Lewis in the flex. Jets, no one. Isaiah Crowell, stop playing him. He's in a timeshare with Elijah McGuire, and that's like all. That's it. Like, I have nothing else to say. The Titans were up 10-0 on the Texans the other night and completely blew it.
Yeah.
So I have no faith in the Titans anymore. I don't know how the Patriots lost to them. I don't know how I called that one. I'll take it, though. But, yeah, Titans favored at home by 9.5. I'm just going to take them because I've learned, again, like I said last week, I've learned my lesson with the Jets. I took the Jets against the Bills 2 weeks ago, and it was like -7. I was like, yeah, all right, I'll get cute. And they lost 41-10. So, like, I don't know. Darnold's back this week. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, this has been a really depressing year for Jets fans. I'm gonna pick the Jets here against the spread. I don't think the Titans should be favored by 9.5 over literally anyone. So that's just a points-based pick there.
Good, very good point.
Oh boy! And by the way, just if you're in a timeshare with Elijah McGuire, can we please get Le'Veon Bell next year, or maybe we could draft a running back, like any competent playmaker in the backfield. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
That'd be great.
49ers at the Seahawks.
Sponsor us.
And this one actually is pretty watchable. Like, the 49ers, for a bad team, they're kind of fun. George Kittle, I dare you to find me a better player, good stats, bad team guy. Because this guy is awesome this year. I can't wait to see what he looks like with Jimmy G next year. Could even take a step up, which is like, would really be a welcome sight because then he would vault himself into possibly that Ertz-Kelsey territory, which he's already kind of knocking on the door of this year. Really excited about him. And other than that, I mean, the Seahawks are red hot. It's kind of that like weird whack-a-mole offense where you don't know who is going to be the guy that goes off week to week, but you know, they got some playmakers. I mean, I don't hate Chris Carson. He had a crazy like acrobatic play this past week. They're probably in the driver's seat for that wild card spot in the NFC, which is like really a testament to their coach and Russell Wilson. I don't know. I like the Seahawks here against the 49ers. There could be a sneaky shootout potential here, actually.
Yeah, there actually could be, and I don't think Mullins is going to be the starter that much longer. I think Shanahan was really upset with his play the other Sunday, and he kind of said it. So it might go back to C.J. Beathard, which just bodes well for the Seahawks at that point. Either one of them, the Seahawks are going to pick off and go bonkers against. So the spread is tough. The Seahawks are favored at home by 11. I'm still going to take them, but the makeup of that wide receiver core on the Seahawks is incredible. So they have David Moore and Tyler Lockett on the outside. It's genius. They're both deep threats, but they do spread formations. They do some hooks, and they're still pretty good. And you know, David Moore is a pretty big guy. Tyler Lockett is a fast guy. And then they have, amongst it all, Doug Baldwin through the middle. And 3 running backs that are pretty solid. Russell Wilson to top it all off. The defense is pretty serviceable this year. They're a pretty good team. And they're going the opposite direction as the Panthers. Panthers in the NFC, 3-game losing streak, I think, or 2 at least. And the Seahawks are on the way up. So I love this team. The 49ers, I don't think have a chance to... Maybe they have a chance to stay kind of in that game because the Seahawks always pull out victories at the end of the game. But I still think the Hawks are going to win this one. It's kind of Russian roulette figuring out who's going to get a touchdown in terms of the wide receivers. Russell Wilson's going to throw at least 2 every game. That's pretty much a lock. I'll just do what I think might happen is Lockett will command some cornerback respect from Richard Sherman maybe, and David Moore and Doug Baldwin might get into the end zone this week.
And I don't think Richard Sherman can run with Tyler Lockett. He may be able to cover him, but
right.
If they send Tyler Lockett down the field, I don't think Richard Sherman can stay with him for 60 minutes. So I don't like that at all as far as the 49ers defense is concerned. What do you think of Matt Breida and Chris Carson here, Scott? That's my last question about fantasy starters in this game, because we know we're playing Russell Wilson here.
Yeah, I think Breida's a really good play after McCaffrey just thrashed the Seattle run defense for some catches and some deep field plays. But yeah, I really like Breida. It's not as scary as a matchup as it once was, as scary of a matchup as it once was against Seattle's run defense. As good as the defense is, it's really on the outside and the safety play. That's pretty impressive, even without Earl Thomas. But, I think Chris Carson's also a good play. Rashad Penny is not. I mean, he's not rossable, and I said that a couple weeks ago. Don't pick him out. Don't get cute. Chris Carson's the guy there. Mike Davis is the complimentary third down back in a PPR deep league. You could play him, and it's a good matchup. But, yeah, Carson's a good flex play this week.
All right, so Seattle's favored at home by 11. I'm taking the Seahawks there. Don't forget, this team put up 33 points on the Rams a couple weeks ago. So, they can score. I'm taking the Seahawks here.
Yeah. And it feels like the Seahawks always play to the level of their competition. So they're in it the whole game with the Panthers. They were kind of in it against the Rams. They don't do as well against bad teams, but I think they're going to... I can't see the 49ers beating them.
It's time for the mailbag. Everybody's favorite segment, and Sean and Scott won't let me sing anymore. So we're going to get right into it.
We haven't said a word in the last week about it.
I actually really like that intro you just did. That was
perfect.
It was kind of
nice and clean. Yeah.
Maybe that's the new catchphrase. Anyways,
go for it.
Back to the mailbag. Like always, the DMs have been flooding. The letters have been lettering. The pigeon carriers have been carrying. The people literally coming up to our apartments have been coming up to our apartments.
It's almost too much.
It is. It's
suffocating.
Scott's been stopped at work multiple times.
Well,
Cops have pulled me over just to ask me something to put on the pod.
And every single time they're always like, "Oh, you guys are that pod with the most reviews."
Yeah, we are the number one New York Times podcast of reviews of all time.
They mentioned that too. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They do say that too.
So we'll get right into it. We don't have time to address everyone's questions, but we do have a few here. So Jeremy from Hoboken, what do I do after fantasy season is over?
Kick back, watch the NFL playoffs, which are maybe the first weekend won't be great, but the divisional round, conference championships, and the Super Bowl will be phenomenal. Okay, and get yourself a nice go-to game day snack. So find a place that has good, like crispy, delicious buffalo wings. Maybe some nice. Find your niche in the dip scene.
Find your beach.
If you're a spinach and artichoke guy like me, that's fine. If you're a nacho cheese dip, queso dip guy, that's fine too. But find your dip and enjoy the NFL playoffs.
Find your dip. I like that. Yeah, I'm going to echo the same thing. Take a nice deep breath and relax. And actually enjoy football just for the sake of football. A lot of times we get caught up in, well, this guy got me 2 points, but if he got me 3, and I do it myself. If he got me 3, I would have won. Made playoffs. It's bullshit. Just kick back, relax, enjoy football. Wildcard weekend is one of the best weekends in sports. AFC, NFC championship game weekend is one of the best weekends in sports. The middle one, I don't like that much. Divisional rounds, I don't know why. But enjoy college football. The bowl season is back. And then there's always a little transition period for me. And I don't know if it's going to happen this year where I kind of make the switch to basketball and watch the Knicks games and, get into like the records because I haven't even looked at. I don't even know if the Knicks are good or not. They're not good. I know that, but I don't know who's number 1 or 15. So we'll transition. It's not the same, but it's something.
The Knicks are tanking for Zion, Scott. So just remember that.
Oh wow, that's there you go. I like that. I'm getting excited already for the season to be done.
If you're anything like me, just forget that football exists. You're probably out of the playoffs. And get deep into a hobby. Get into something. There's tons of shit you can get into
maybe
now.
Camping.
Nowadays. Get into, start Googling stuff. Get into camping. Maybe get into, ceramics. You could get into ceramics. That's the thing. Or just hopefully you saved up enough money to just, start getting really into, food. And you just go and start visiting tons of restaurants.
Maybe
That's
knitting.
You could probably do.
That's another one.
You could get into knitting. Knitting's good as well.
It's a good time to get into knitting.
Yeah.
It's
cold sweater season.
True, yeah. Start getting into knitting, and then by the time it's Christmas, you'll have a sweater for somebody.
Knit it in the form of
go.
UQ. Just have UQ and an all orange sweater if you do knit.
There you go. Send it to the pod. Alex in Philly. What's the worst thing Nicolas Cage could do?
Interesting question. As the resident Nicolas Cage hater here, and I'm assuming you guys are with me, but not to the magnitude I'm in here. I'm tempted to say literally anything, but I would say for me, the worst thing that could happen with Nicolas Cage is he gets tapped to help reboot one of my beloved franchises from my say, for example, they pick Nicolas Cage to be the next Superman or something of that nature.
They did. No. In the 90s, yeah. There's this. Oh my god, I'm so excited! I can't believe you just said Superman. There's this documentary about it. It was supposed to be called Superman Returns or Superman is Back, and Nicolas Cage was literally going to play Superman.
Oh my god!
Look it up, everyone! Look it up right now. Oh my god, I can't believe you just said Superman. It could have been your worst nightmare on the year you were born, dude.
Oh my god! Yeah, so that would be the worst thing Nicolas Cage related for me.
Yeah, you go, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say being a blockbuster movie like The Avengers, not one of my childhood movies, but just something that I know I'm gonna watch, or maybe if he's introduced into a show that I like Ray Donovan or something like that, where I have to see him every single week. Or Game of Thrones. I don't watch Game of Thrones, but imagine Nicolas Cage in Game of Thrones.
Him in Game of Thrones would be hilarious.
I want everyone to picture that when the new season comes out in 5 years, whenever the hell it comes out.
They just need to Photoshop him onto one of the dragons' faces.
Yeah. Drogon or whatever.
I'm sorry, guys. I just Googled Nicolas Cage Superman, and it is a cursed image. It will never leave.
Oh, God.
It's not pretty now, but I think at the time it would have been pretty good. Well, that's what the documentary said, at least. I don't know. What do I know?
What's the worst thing Nicolas Cage could do? Either, I was going to say, continue having a career or legally adopt me.
Oh, yeah. That's
yeah,
good. That's
way
what
better.
I'm talking about.
There's a second I was going to say, just continue to be an actor. something mean like that, but I guess you wanted to go that route.
We spend most of our lives trying to get away from him, but imagine having to answer to the call to Nicolas Cage.
Hey,
or
Dad.
On the holidays, you go home and Nicolas Cage is there and you got to eat Thanksgiving dinner with him. Fuck that.
You'd be the uncle that talks about tryptophan.
Next comes from Becca in Brooklyn. Leftovers are good. ...
Yes, they are. And, wait, are we
Good
talking
call,
about
Becca?
Are we talking about Thanksgiving leftovers or just leftovers in general? Because there's a difference.
She just said leftovers, so
I'll agree
that's up
and
to
disagree.
interpretation.
Leftovers in general, never as good as originally, but Thanksgiving leftovers, I don't have to harp on it anymore. I'm just going to say it again, are the best kind of leftovers because you can make a sandwich out of them. What other leftovers can you think of?
What do
you
we
can make a sandwich out
think
of?
about? What do we think about reheated pizza?
It's okay. It's not the best. I like putting it in a toaster oven, not a microwave. You got to put it in a toaster
Because
oven.
reheated pizza has a cult following. Apparently, there's people out there that swear by reheated pizza.
Do they just eat reheated pizza? Because
I don't think I'm on board with that.
no, it's not nearly as good. It loses
or
something.
like cold pizza. I'm not into cold pizza either.
It feels like it goes into like a hibernation, a freezing hibernation, and then it's not the same when it comes out. Yeah. It lost something in there.
I mean, you all know how I feel about leftovers, and specifically Thanksgiving leftovers. Look, I gave it a shot. We got a little creative. Katie and I, we took stuffing and mashed potatoes, mixed them together with eggs, breadcrumbs, and made it like a little hash brown concoction, which was incredible.
Oh.
But you can't put it on a sandwich because the leftover turkey is absolutely the worst thing in the world. So I'm sorry.
No, I agree with that.
You can't change my mind. So I guess you're half right, Becca from Brooklyn.
Becca.
We got another Brooklynite. Carlos from Brooklyn. Am I the only one not excited for the new Lion King? I'm an adult.
Okay, you are absolutely the only one not excited.
Yep.
Did you see the cast? Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Childish Gambino, a.k.a. Donald Glover as Simba. You have the guy, I can't pronounce his name, I'm sorry, but the guy that starred in 12 Years a Slave as Scar. You have James Earl Jones still as Mufasa. Oh my God. What a cast. Beyonce, John Oliver, Seth Rogen. Get out of town, Carlos. Jeez.
Shout out to James Earl Jones. Still crushing it as Mufasa. Yeah, you're the only one, Carlos. Sorry.
Actually, Carlos, you're not alone because I'm not excited.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry to be that guy, but I'm just not excited. It's the Lion King. I've already seen it. If I am excited about this movie, it's purely for the voices. That's it. Because like I know the story, and the story I'm not interested in anymore. Like, I'm there for the voices. So if they mix it up, I'll go see it. Like I'll go see this movie. I'm not going to avoid it, but I'm not excited.
You should just have an open mind about it.
That's all I'm going to say.
Anyways, Brett from San Francisco. Just says New York versus Cali. I guess he wants us to debate that.
Yeah, it's not even close. New York. I'm not even going to talk about it. It's New York. Sorry. It's just I don't even. It's not even like I'm getting worked up. It's not even in the same vicinity.
Wow. I have to recuse myself. I've never been to California, so I can't really speak on it. I will just say California just seems like that golden destination, though. That sunshine all year round. The only thing right now is all the natural disasters are definitely putting up a red flag in the Cali camp.
Yeah,
that is true. There's a lot of fires out there. That's a little scary. It's very scary, actually. But I don't know on this one. Back and forth. I've been out there. I've been in San Francisco a bunch. I have family out there. It's definitely really beautiful. I enjoy the nature aspect of it. And it's huge. So there's more space. New York, but there's something about New York. I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome or or it's just the thing is about New York is New York is the entire world in like the space within Manhattan. It's so fucking good. It's like everything you could ever want is in New York City.
There's a lot of ups and downs with it. I agree with that. Some days
everything you could ever want and everything you would never want is in there.
Yeah. Wow, that's a really good point. Yeah, some days you're just like, get me out of here. And some days you're like, yeah, this is the best city in the world.
Yeah. But and then again, we got to touch on the people as well. I've never been to L.A., but I've heard this saying, and it goes, L.A. people are nice in a mean way, and New York people are mean in a nice... No, wait, that's wrong.
Actually makes sense.
L.A. people are mean in a nice way, and New York people are nice in a mean way.
I think you flipped it. I'm pretty sure.
No, I didn't.
I guess they could both work. No. I don't know. Regardless, you're saying New York people are rude, but they mean it in a nice way.
Right.
Oh,
and
okay.
then Cali people are nice, but they actually want to stab you in the back.
L.A. people, I'll say it one more time. L.A. people
I'm going to look it up.
Are mean in the nice way, and New York people are nice in the mean way.
Okay. I understand what you're saying now. They're out, like people in New York are outwardly mean, but internally they want to help and they want the best for you. Okay, and it's the opposite in California. Yes, I agree with that 100%. I can't wait to move out of New York at some point in my life and just be an absolute psychopath on the roads because I've been just indoctrinated into driving in like what is essentially like the bumper cars of the world, which is New York City traffic.
I love driving through the city.
Does California just have factories that pump out Bretts?
Pump out what?
Bretts.
What is that?
Brett is the guy that wrote this.
Oh, Brett.
I feel like it's the Brett capital of the world.
It's definitely the Brett capital of the world.
Yeah, probably.
I think there's just factories pumping out Bretts everywhere.
Yeah. Sounded like that was a thing. Like a Brett. Like, what's a Brett? I don't know. Is that like a Cali thing? It sounded like a sandwich, like a type of sandwich. Like, you gonna get a Brett? Let's get some Bretts today for lunch.
Ooh, I could go for some Brett sticks.
Poor Brett. He did not expect this question to go and turn upon his name like it has. So,
well, hey,
sorry, buddy.
Put yourself out there, asking about it.
You brought it upon yourself, bringing that
Brett.
big debate. You brought something big to the table, and we took it.
Yeah, Brett.
Sponsor us, Brett.
Sponsor us.
Brett, sponsor us.
Brother.
Okay, let's get into that Tiger Bomb spicy matchups category for Week 13. Starting things off with the Cardinals at the Packers. And honestly, this one we probably could have flipped with that 49ers Seahawks game at the end of the quick hitters. But anyway, it's here, and it's here to stay. The Packers, man, what is going on with the Packers?
I don't know. It's bad. They don't look good at all. Rodgers is having you can't say Rodgers is having an off year because he has like 2 interceptions all year, but I don't know. Last week he threw 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, maybe 1. Just he doesn't look the same. He looks the same. I don't know what's going on with that team. His pass catchers aren't doing as well. The defense is brutal. Defense is really where it's at. It's terrible. Mike McCarthy has to go. The play calling is whack too.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy, see you later, man. I can't believe... I mean, I guess they're just as an organization, they're not the type to make a change in the middle of the year, but there's no way.
But
no way he comes back next year. It's just no shot.
The thing is, like, you need to make a change if you think there's a viable replacement right now. So if there's an offensive or defensive coordinator that you really like or a guy that you could plug in really quickly now that's out there, do it. But, like, McCarthy's the best option that you have. You need a whole offseason to just revamp everything. Defense, offensive line, everything.
All right, so with all that being said, however, there are some studs on this Packers offense for fantasy purposes. Obviously, you're going to start Rodgers. You probably don't have a better option than him anyway. So you're keeping him in your lineup because just weekly he could give you a overall QB1 week and win you the week. So you're not getting cute there. And then I feel like we haven't even mentioned his name this year because he's been so quietly great. Devontae Adams. We don't talk about him enough. He is, for me, he's in the Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham tier, and I think he is someone that's going to go way underdrafted next year. Maybe I'm just misreading how people feel about him, but he doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, he's definitely up there in the upper echelon. I think, yeah, you're right. This team does have some playmakers. Aaron Jones is, he's a lock this week.
He's so good.
The Cardinals are 31st. Against the run, and we weren't the only ones that called Aaron Jones, but if you're getting him in like the 14th round, like
that's it.
Give me a break. He's a running back 1 or 2 now. You're never going to get him that early again. So he's absolutely killing it. He's one of the best plays this week. David Johnson, he's still weekly play, but it was a rough outing last week. To go back to Aaron Rodgers, I know I keep on saying, like, this could be the week. This could be the Cardinals just got thrashed, kind of?
Yeah.
Well, they definitely got thrashed by the Chargers, but they got thrashed by Phillip Rivers. 28 of 29. I think he had 256 yards and 3 touchdowns or something like that. Like, that was the stat line against the Cardinals that Phillip Rivers had. So, Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. Plug him in. This is a little interesting tidbit. It doesn't really matter for anything, but interesting. Last 3 matchups dating back to 2013, so they've only played each other 3 times. They've all been Cardinals wins. So the Cardinals won 17-0 on August 9th, 2013. They won 38-8 on December 27th, 2015, and then 26-20 on January 16th, 2016.
Ooh, that last one was a playoff game.
Yeah, and I think the first one was a preseason game, but interesting.
Interesting. I definitely think that the Packers flipped that script here, and they're favored by 14.5 points. Huge spread. Honestly, almost too high to take. This is not the game I probably would gamble on, but I don't know. I still think I'm going to take the Packers. I think they really want to shut people up, and this is definitely a team that's not going to offer much resistance as far as defense is concerned.
Yeah, this is a must-win. I just changed my answer, which is stupid when I do that because I always get it wrong the second time. But I picked the Packers at first. But if you remember a couple weeks ago, we had the Chiefs and the Cardinals, and it was 16.5, and we were like, oh yeah, Chiefs are a lock, and they beat them. I mean, they beat them by like
11,
10, or 11, yeah. So I can see it getting to like that point. That this Packers team is not nearly as good as that Chiefs team was, and it's at the Packers, so the Cardinals they play in a dome and they play in hot weather. That's tough, but I don't know. I think David Johnson might run some clock here, and the Packers are just not good.
Yeah, good point.
I'm going to take the Cardinals, but I don't feel good about it. I don't know. I don't think they're going to. Here's the thing. I don't think they're going to lose by like 17 or more. That's basically what you're saying. Like 14.5. It's basically 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
Yeah, don't bet that game regardless. Just, I mean, you can pretty much go wrong either way. You can't really go right there, so just stay away from that one.
Very true.
Possibly one that you tease with another game. That's what I would say. All right, let's look at the Broncos at the Bengals, and the Broncos are not bad. I mean, they have
not bad. I think
playmakers. They have Von Miller. I mean, Case Keenum is somehow continuing to win games. Like, no, they're not a playoff team, but they're like the middle class of the NFL right now. And I don't know, they're kind of fun to watch. The Bengals without Andy Dalton, which I mean, it just gets uglier every week. They are in a tailspin right now. I don't think outside of the Jaguars, I don't think there's a single team as cold as the Bengals right now.
Nope, I agree with that. They started 4-1. They started the season 4-1. The Bengals,
depressing.
Yeah, they're just brutal. They're reeling. The Broncos, they actually have an outside chance to make the playoffs. I just looked at the AFC like playoff picture, and they're still in the hunt technically. I think it's the Chargers and then
Colts probably.
Colts 6-5, and the Colts are 6-5. The Broncos are 5-6, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the Broncos just played spoiler to the Steelers. So yeah, I don't know why Philip Lindsay doesn't get the ball 30 times a game. That guy is just a play making machine.
Welcome to the Aaron Jones, Sony Michel, Josh Adams territory, Philip Lindsay. Give this man the ball, please.
Giving him a ball. He's been killing it all year since week 2 or 3. Like, he got ejected one game, but every other game he's had like double-digit points. He's been one of the most consistent players. Don't get cute. Play him.
Yep.
All the positional players on Denver, this is one of the juiciest matchups they've had all year. If Baker Mayfield, I love him, but if he can put up 4 touchdowns, Case Keenum has some daily fantasy dart throw potential. Sutton has been pretty disappointed as one of the best pickups a few weeks ago, but I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't get cute. But Sanders is like top 10 this week.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be even top 5.
And I think, are we all the way around on Emmanuel Sanders right now? Like,
oh God, I just realized has he
played
top 5?
Honestly, he might have played his way out of that territory. Which, I mean, hats off to you. You're the official first player to play your way out of that. Like, go fuck yourself. List. Yeah, literally the shit list. Congrats.
Honestly, he kind of is. Congratulations. And he was always like, even the year he got on my shit list, he was good. The only reason I put him on there is because he was hurt. It was a bad matchup, and he somehow got 2 touchdowns, and I lost in the finals because I didn't play him. So I'm sorry.
Biggest thing for me is that there's no more Demaryius Thomas there. And yes, Courtland Sutton is like in the same profile of Demaryius Thomas, but he doesn't have the pedigree and he has the pedigree, but he doesn't have the consistency, and he's not like in his prime like Sanders is right now. So yeah, Emmanuel Sanders officially off of our shit list. Congratulations, my friend. Don't worry, there's many more that are taking his place next year.
Ton.
Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron, probably just
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
Doug Baldwin. Yeah. One quick thing. Jeff Driscoll is the starter now for the Bengals, and this is the dude that like clocked in at like 20 miles per hour, I think. Isn't he? For his touchdown like 3 weeks ago, because he filled in for Andy Dalton against the Saints when it was like garbage time. This dude's fast. He's got wheels. He has 2 touchdowns through rushing. And daily fantasy dart throw, like these 2 quarterbacks are the guys you want. They're cheap, and Jeff Driscoll could kind of rip the Broncos up.
So as far as your season-long leagues, we're really only trusting Phil Lindsay here and Emmanuel Sanders. I wouldn't trust any Bengals, including Tyler Boyd. Sorry, we had a really great run the first half, maybe first 3 quarters of the year, but you're not trusting him this week.
Yeah, and Joe Mixon has an okay matchup this week. I actually have to bench him because I have Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, and Todd Gurley. So he's the bench guy out of those guys. Yeah, the team is stacked, baby. AJ Green, I don't know if he's coming back this week, but feels like they're going to put him on a pitch count if they do bring him back. I don't know.
Yeah, they're just not trending in the right direction. You don't want any part of AJ Green. I'm not going to say that one of our league mates jinxed him earlier in the year, but it did not happen. That's all I'm going to say. So, Denver is favored at Cincinnati by 3.5. I'm taking the Broncos. I think this line should be higher. It probably will be higher by the time you're getting around to betting, but I'm taking the Broncos there. That's a pretty easy bet for me.
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos. Even away, I'm still taking them as well.
All right, let's look at the Battle of the Birds. The Ravens taking on the Falcons. We already mentioned Lamar Jackson earlier. Here he is, the new Mike Vick against Vick's old team. And
ooh, yeah.
This could be actually a pretty fun game. I mean, the Ravens are really boring without Lamar Jackson, and with him and Gus Edwards, like it's like a buddy cop comedy that I just really want to watch. And I'm very excited to watch this game, actually. I'm talking myself into it as I keep rolling off names here. On the Falcons side, I mean, it's really comes down to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. You can't trust Calvin Ridley week to week. You can't trust Tevin Coleman after that abysmal showing we saw last week in primetime. I mean, we all got to see how stagnant their rush offense has been this year, and not pretty. I do think Lamar Jackson could be a flex. I mean, not a flex, but essentially a quarterback's flex starter for you if you're like, maybe if you're rolling with Fitzpatrick for a little bit and you felt like you could like get away with it with no consequences, and now you got to fill in that spot. Lamar Jackson might not be a bad option for you right now.
You're talking about me in our OG league?
Oh, maybe.
Did you just reference me? Ryan Fitzpatrick and Matthew Stafford?
What?
And now Winston? Yeah. Lamar Jackson, they're 2-0 with him. They have an average of 200-plus rushing yards each of the past 2 games. They're easy matchups, right? The Raiders, and then I forget who they played the week before. I'll look into that. But yeah, Gus Edwards is a standard league flex. PPR, it's tougher because he doesn't catch anything, but if he can still get you over the hump. I think as long as Collins is out, if Collins is back, downgrade him, maybe don't play him, but as long as Collins is out and Lamar Jackson is the quarterback, which he should be this week again, continue to play Gus Edwards. And then Falcons, 31st in rushing this year.
Brutal.
31st. Yeah. They need to revamp that whole offensive line. The defense, they have had some injuries, so I'm not going to fault them that much, but that was just a really big Long Island accent. Fault them. But they need to revamp the defense as well. The team is just in shambles. This is why Matt Ryan is doing so well this year. Because the defense is terrible. The rushing attack is terrible. Tevin Coleman he doesn't have any separation, any playmaking ability really under that offensive line. This is why Matt Ryan is having the year he's having.
And before we get to the line, just kind of like next year notes here. I'm assuming Lamar Jackson will start a quarterback next year for the Ravens. He should, at least. And whoever winds up starting a running back for that team is going to be valuable. Whether it's Gus Edwards, whether it's Alex Collins or a rookie or a free agent, you're going to want that starting running back because it's going to be similar to what we saw with LaShawn McCoy the past couple of years with Tyrod Taylor, where Lamar Jackson's in the game. It changes the entire equation for a defense trying to cover that team. They have to account. They have to take a linebacker and have him account for Lamar Jackson on every single play. That's one less defender that you have to run through in the box. That running back spot is going to be very valuable. That's all. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. If you look at like Cam Newton, he's always had a pretty consistent rush attack with McCaffrey this year.
Yeah.
Like look at like Kaepernick on the 49ers. Frank Gore was always pretty good. Carlos Hyde for a couple of years was good. Mike Vick with LaShawn McCoy. It does open up a lot of rushing attack. So, yeah, I completely agree. The line is the Ravens are favored at Atlanta by 3. I just flip-flopped again. I don't know why, but I'm going to take the Ravens. They just beat the Raiders, and this defense is one of the few defenses that can actually stop the Falcons' attack. So the Falcons they're pretty much throw it to Julio and Calvin Ridley. They're second or third against wide receivers, like 4th against quarterbacks. This defense is for real. One of the best defenses in the league. So I think they're going to shut them down and win by maybe 3 or a touchdown.
I am flipping. I was going to pick the Falcons.
Whoa.
And here's why. There's a very particular reason why. I can see at the end of this game, first off, the playoff picture is always muddy after like week 13. And I feel like if the Falcons beat the Ravens, the AFC playoff picture would be way too like set in stone, which it never is. I think the Ravens win here. They keep the conversation alive, at least for another week or two, that they could make the playoffs, because then it's them and the Colts, and you have the Chargers in that first wild card spot, and you have the Broncos, who we mentioned. If they lose, they're pretty much, they might be crossing themselves out of contention. Maybe not officially, but, in all actuality. So, yeah, I'm sticking with the Ravens there. I like, especially with just how much better their defense is than the Falcons. All right, let's look at the haves and the have-nots for the next 2 spicy matchups here. The Chiefs at the Raiders. It's very simple, folks. You're playing every single Chief, and you're playing none of the Raiders. And I guess if you have Jared Cook, it's the only one you're really considering, but it's that simple. There's nothing else we need to say. This game is going to be it's going to be one of those things where you just like look away. It's going to be like a torture scene in a movie that you just don't want to watch anymore. Chiefs are favored by 15 on the road, and I don't care. I'm taking it.
Yeah, I'm going to take it too. I mean, it's a tough one, 15. We remember that 16.5 line against the Cardinals. We were biting ourselves after that because we were coming in cocky, like, yeah, they're going to cover it, and then it was 11. But yeah, the Raiders suck. They're so bad. Last year, the teams split matchups with both of the home teams winning. Pretty sure the Raiders are at home this week, and I'm pretty sure they're not winning this one, though.
Yeah, no.
So don't think it's the same as last year. Doug Martin finally got a touchdown last week, but there's going to be a ton of catch-up in this game, so Jalen Richard is a good deep league play. And then Jared Cook, yeah, I guess, but all the Chiefs are good. Chris Conley is a good play in a deeper league if Sammy Watkins sits again or if he's still hurt. And Watkins, this is a tough time of year for him because it's a foot injury. You can't really get over those.
Oh, yeah, that's brutal. However, I will say if you're looking to actually allocate some of your capital on these games this week, Chiefs and Packers is a combo I would definitely take a nice long look at because you take either of those lines down a couple points and we're looking at, we're in business then because I think both those teams
Love
definitely
that.
get the W this week.
Nice.
This next one also could be one that you combine with some other offers here. We have the Rams at the Lions, and look, this is pretty much for me like my favorite team to watch and my least favorite team to watch on the same field. It's going to be,
Not the Jets?
Unstoppable force meets an immovable object. No, the Lions will always be my least favorite team to watch.
Yeah,
as much as I like their players, just something about their jerseys or something. I don't know. Anyway, Rams are going
Except for Kerryon Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Rams are going to kill the Lions here. They're coming off a bye. You're telling me Sean McVay had 2 weeks to prepare for this Lions defense, and they're not going to light them up? You're playing Josh Reynolds, play him. Robert Woods, obviously. Brandon Cooks. Look, it doesn't matter who gets Darius Slay. He's probably going to be moving around. I don't see him sticking on one person. It doesn't matter. You're playing all three. Gurley, obviously. It's definitely time to pick up Malcolm Brown. Just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Before it's too late. And I don't want to talk about the Lions. You can handle that because I'm not a big fan of them.
I don't even have anything to say about them. Lessons learned on Stafford. He's brutal this year. Absolutely brutal. And this is the lesson I learned. Any team changing to a defensive-minded coach in the offseason, and that if that coach came from another team that ran a good amount and didn't throw it every single play like the Patriots did, where Matt Patricia came from, if they draft a running back early, they pick up a running back in the offseason, they're probably going to run it a lot.
Yeah.
And if the defense doesn't get that much better, I've also learned like a team with a bad defense doesn't necessarily mean garbage time points, especially not for Stafford. He's nearly droppable, can't be trusted in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is a play over him. I don't know. I mean, there's some shootout potential here, but who's he going to throw it to? Galladay's a great play, but that's about it. Kerryon Johnson is still hurt. I don't know if he's going to play. Theo Riddick should have 9 to 10 catches probably in the backfield, but
yeah, definitely. I like
LeGarrette Blount's not going to repeat again.
Oh God, LeGarrette Blount. He's honestly the perfect player for this Lions team. So
he really is.
Just so mediocre, so boring. I think you're playing Galladay, and he's the only one I really trust in a season-long league. The line here, the Rams are favored by 9 points. Honestly, I think that's kind of low. I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my lock of the week this week. Is they're going to win by 2 touchdowns at least.
And that wraps up Week 13. Fantasy football season is almost over, people, but don't panic. All right, there's a lot of shit you can get into. Remember, there's ceramics, there's
knitting.
Food, knitting, there's adopting animals with disabilities.
Getting adopted by Nicolas Cage.
Getting adopted by Nicolas Cage. Moving to California.
A lot of things to look forward to.
Cooking leftovers into new concoctions. You can start collecting rocks. You can start categorizing smells and writing them down. You can eat a lot of goldfish and start to season them with your own seasonings, and then try and make a new flavor of goldfish.
That sounds very specific, Rob.
Yeah, it sounds like these sound like all things you've done or want to do.
You can
You're
start
just naming your bucket list right now?
mail out of their mailbox, and then
That's a felony.
looking through it.
No, I don't know
You
if that's a felony.
can
No, Brent.
start building a car.
All right, don't forget, Rob, that hopefully the season's not over for all of our listeners out there. If you've
Might
been
be
listening
for
to
some.
us, if you've been listening to us all year, you probably are in the thick of it at least. It may not be
nice.
all the way over, but you might be heading into playoff season. So stick with us next week. We're going to give you pretty much the same advice every week, because the one thing we want you to not do during the playoffs is regret your decisions. That's the number one thing. If you lose, there's worse things, and let me tell you what they are. Losing because you got too cute with your lineup choices. I know Scott and I can both attest to that from personal experience.
Pretty much every other year, I in the play-in round, this guy will crush it. Like, I don't know. I can't even remember who it is. Just stick with your studs. Don't overthink it. Don't get cute. Not now. The time to get cute was like week 6 through 11.
Yeah.
Where you're like, just trying out the lineup, or like, no, not even, like 2 through 11. Now it's over. Now you play the studs. You pick up guys for upside. You handcuff your guys. That's about it.
And remember, if you're out of the playoffs, you can start crushing up Doritos and covering other foods with them and then frying it.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
You can go to find farmers markets in your area and start going to farmers markets.
Those are Rob. Those close in like August or
craft
September.
fairs on Sundays.
You missed the boat there. You got to wait until next year.
You can find cool little coffee shops in your town and find all of the coffee shops you like. You can start growing your own coffee in your backyard. You can start making wine in your toilet. You can start...
That's disgusting. I think that's where we cut you off.
Yeah, we were done.
You can build computers.
Yeah.
Oh,
you can buy a toy from Toys R Us. And
nice.
Take
That
it
sounds
apart.
good, Rob.
And you can bake bread. You can get really good. You can get deep into bread.
Oh, you know what they could do also, Rob? And I think this is the last thing we're going to suggest to you. You could write us a review on iTunes. Unqualified.
Nice.
If you don't want to do
Nice
all
transition
those
again.
15 things that Rob just told you to do, half of which sound like they might be able to like get you arrested or ruin your life, or at least waste a lot of your time, write us a review. Hopefully,
really weird.
Hopefully, we helped you make the playoffs this year. We truly mean that, and we wish you the best of luck in Week 13, which essentially is playoff Week 1, as far as I'm concerned.
Completely agree.
Well, see you later.
See you later.
See you later.